Hey, you, I know that you're proud of your game. I know that you probably think the D&D campaign that you run is the best. And I know you probably think nothing of it. I know that you're probably not ashamed of it. But the thing is, a very wise old man once said, pride is not the opposite of shame, but its source. True humility is the only antidote for shame. And here's the thing. There are things that you're doing in your campaigns right now that you should be ashamed of. And I'm not judging you because I do them too. But hopefully, if together we look at the very valuable lessons taught by Avatar: The Last Airbender, we together can make our campaigns better, our stories stronger, and make sure that our players are having more fun. With that, hi, my name's Joe. Welcome to Roll with Advantage. Let's go ahead and dive in to the top 10 ways Avatar: The Last Airbender can help you make a better campaign. So in this video, we're not gonna steal plot points, okay? I wanna clarify that right at the beginning. What we're gonna do in this video is we're gonna look at the lessons we can learn, the best practices of storytelling that we can take from Avatar: The Last Airbender, whether you watch the show back when it came out on Nickelodeon, or you're watching the live action version on Netflix. Both provide excellent pieces of advice and strategies we can use as dungeon masters or as game masters in our games to make our stories the best our players have ever done. And as the one thing that I learned in a poll that I did on the channel just a little bit ago, right here in front of me, narrative and plot points are the things that we struggle with most as DMs, or the things that we struggle creating most as DMs. So these are 10 things after rewatching not only the animated series over the past couple of weeks and watching the entirety of the live action series just a couple days ago. These are the couple of things that I picked up on to help. And hey, if you like this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and we're now YouTube partners. So if you'd like to support the channel in that way, you can actually become a supporter of the channel. You'll get exclusive emotes, you'll get access to videos early. We would love to have you be a part of it, and we'd love to hear what you want. I mean, that's one of the things I'm most excited about having members and people like that is, what do you need to help make your tables better? If you become a YouTube member, that's the best way for you to show your support in a big way and to make sure the videos you want to see get made first. So please sign up for that if you'd like. All right, with that, let's go ahead and dive in to number 1, embrace your inciting incident. For those of you that haven't been in an English 9 classroom in a while, the inciting incident of the story is the moment where the players can no longer return to the world they were once in. It is the point of no return. No, not that one. Although if you want, you should go check out that video from a couple weeks ago. It is the moment in the story where the momentum starts climbing. And it does not stop. It propels the characters forward until the eventual conclusion of the story, or at least until they get to a break. I understand that it is an animated TV show, not a D&D campaign, but Avatar: The Last Airbender does this fantastically in their first episode. Within the first 5 minutes, Sokka and Katara, their world change. Not just their world changes, but the entire political ecosystem of the world changes because they found Aang. It changes everything. They go on an adventure because of that changes the entire world. That is what you want your players to feel. I understand it's hard to do that without a main character, right? But think about when you go into your game, when you start your campaign, the players should feel like they have been thrust into something that does not stop until they stop it, until they're the ones to firmly plant their foot on the ground and end it. For example, in your own D&D campaign, this could be something as simple as the players have been living in this village. Maybe not their entire lives, but for a good portion of their lives, they've been living there. They're very low level. Level 1, level 2, level 3. There is not much they can do about larger threats. The kingdom to the west attacks. They invade. The party has no other choice but then to abandon their homes and run away. They cannot fight back. That should happen in your first session, within the first 40 minutes of that first session, right? You have maybe, 2 to 4 hours during a session? In your first session, within the first hour, the inciting incident should happen. Let your players mingle around for a bit, get to know the town, really love it, really enjoy it. But within that first session, within that first hour, You need to make sure that those players are pushed out of their lives and they cannot return to that moment of stasis until the story concludes. The party, right, the gang, right, from Avatar The Last Airbender, they get small breaks in between, but the journey's not done until the Fire Lord is defeated. It provides this driving pressure throughout the rest of the story. Keep the pressure on the player all throughout the campaign, and you will have a memorable antagonistic villain. In the example I gave, it's just the general of the army, or the enemy king, or queen, or ruler, whoever it is. They are the individual that needs to be stopped. And when they are, the war is over, and everything goes back to normal. But then that leads us to number 2, leveraging soft magic and mechanics. Sometimes bending the rules for the sake of the narrative and for character development can lead to unforgettable moments. A lot of the bending in Avatar The Last Airbender is very soft magic, right? There aren't specific sigils and runes and components that need to be put forth, right? You move your arms in a very complex way, and boom, you have rocks that fly out of the ground, or you shoot air or fire, or you move water. What I'm telling you is every once in a while, allow your players to approach their magic, their martial abilities, or the mechanics on their character sheet in a soft magic, soft mechanic kind of way. An example of this could be something that I've used in a campaign myself before. You have 2 sorcerers, okay? These 2 sorcerers, they challenge each other to a duel. I looked to that player, his name is Jamie. I said, Jamie, here's what you're gonna do. Ignore your character sheet. Do not look at the spells you have. You tell me what you want to do. Now, with really creative players, this can go crazy. And in that moment, in that campaign, it was explosive. It was wild. There needs to be repercussions for something like that, you know? In Avatar The Last Airbender, Aang entering the Avatar state is very soft magic, right? You can use all of the power of all the previous avatars before you. That's cool. But if you die in the Avatar state, the reincarnation cycle ends. Oh, shit. That sucks, so I have to use it sparingly, right? Maybe for that mage character, if they're knocked unconscious, pulling that much magic from the weave, they're cut off from it. They can't use 5th, 6th, and 7th level spells for 2 weeks after that if they're knocked unconscious in that state. There are mechanics you can use on the fly to help reward creative players and to make really memorable moments, but have it still have stakes and have it still have consequences should the players fail in that moment. Number 3, flexibility in storytelling. You are out of your gosh dang mind, brother, if you think that in episode 2 or 3 of Avatar The Last Airbender, if those writers were like, you know what? Zuko's gonna get redeemed, and on top of that, he's going to teach Aang firebending. On top of that, he is going to be betrayed by his sister, and on top of that, he has a sister, and on top of that, his dad, executed the previous Fire Lord. He had him assassinated. Ooh, and on top of that, no. In those moments, what happened was genuine, authentic, organic storytelling. Now, don't get me wrong, they did force some things, the Great Divide for one. Trash episode. But in the show, one of the things that makes it so good is that the storytelling feels so organic. Maybe they did have that plan from the very, very, very beginning. They knew everything about everything. But this is such a valuable piece of advice for you in your campaigns when you are world building, when you are drafting the narrative, creating the plot of the story, developing it. Do not come up with every single minute detail because you're not writing a book. You are not writing a story that is only dependent on your thoughts and ideas. You need to create a beginning and you need to know an ending. You need to know the truth of the situation from the beginning to the end. As long as you know the truth about the situations, right? Who is the big bad evil guy? Is he hiding himself? Is he concealing his identity? What is he doing? Okay? What is his end goal? How is he starting? If you know those 2 points, everything else in between can happen organically. It can happen in reaction to what the players are doing, right? Maybe the evil king from the example I gave before that attacked the village, maybe he has a general. And that general is the one who attacks the village. And then that general starts to have these very strange feelings. They feel like they're not doing the right thing. Maybe in that third or fourth session afterwards, the general is tracking them down, but spares the party. The party sees some genuine human nature in this general. Well, that opens up a whole new storytelling element and a whole new branch because of something that happened organically later on, not something that you had planned from the very beginning. Planning out your campaigns from step 1 through 10, not a good idea. You do not want to do that. You want to know what step 1 is, you want to know what step 10 is, and you want to let the rest of the steps file in organically. Because that happened in Avatar, we get beautiful moments like at the Western Air Temple, when we can have Zuko trying to join the party, trying to make a connection, but failing, getting rejected, and then needing to have that connection be made at the end of the episode, and becomes a very valuable member of the team from that point on. Those are the types of moments you want to aim for and you want to strive for. Number 4, picking a campaign structure that works well for you. What I mean by that, if you plan on making a sprawling, explorative campaign, take cues from the episodic nature of the animated series. For a more condensed campaign, take a tighter, more focused narrative approach akin to the live action series, which is, by the way, very good. If you haven't watched it and you like the animated series, it's different, right? It is a bit of, it's a remake, but it still is very good. When I talk about the differences between the two, the animated series being more episodic and the live action series being more narrative driven, or serial as it be called, that is 2 different types of storytelling. Where episodic, you have a new topic every week pretty much, right? They're at a new place, they're doing a new thing, there's something else going on. It doesn't necessarily add to the overarching structure. In a serial approach, every single session, every single episode is building up towards that end goal. In the episodic one, you still have that. It's just underscored, right? It's underneath. In a serialized campaign, the overarching plot line is going to be the main story every single session. In episodic, it's going to kind of be underneath everything. Taking our example from before, if a party had their village attacked, they moved out, they got pushed away. In an episodic campaign, every single session, they'd be doing a different side quest. They'd be delving into a dungeon to try and find something to help take their village back. They'd be going to a new and exotic place, maybe taking a boat somewhere and traveling from somewhere for a bit. Doing things to help grow their power, but nothing's really connected to the overarching story. It's just them trying to grow stronger. In a serialized campaign, every place they go is going to have something to do with that main conflict, right? They need to go to the next town over. They need to warn them and help them defend. They know that the king's advisor is a lich. They need to go into this crypt and find the phylactery and destroy it, and then go destroy the advisor who's poisoning the mind of the evil king. Those types of things, right? That is a serialized campaign where everything's connected. Really long campaigns benefit from an episodic nature because it helps keep the narrative fresh. Anytime the main plot does come up, it adds to it. In really long campaigns that are serialized, and this is something that I've learned, dealing with the main story for that long every single session can be draining. So just keep that in mind. There's nothing wrong with doing a long campaign that's serialized, but it can be a bit of a marathon to get through, right? Not a sprint. Number 5, encouraging proper character growth. Character growth is one of the hardest things to do because you are playing with people that probably don't have a storytelling background. They've played video games before, they've watched movies, they've watched TV shows, they've read books, but maybe they haven't created art. Maybe they haven't written something down and gone through the exact points and understand Aristotelian plot structure. They probably don't. But what they do understand is they know what it feels like to be a person and to grow and change over time as a person. And the best way you can do that, and it's done almost every single episode of Avatar: The Last Airbender, challenge beliefs and challenge their ideas. Challenge the way that a character sees the world, and you will see them either double down on their own beliefs or begin to change their mind. This is a tool that DMs should use for NPCs, and it is a tool that DMs should use to challenge their player characters in their campaign to encourage them to grow, right? If you know one of your characters hates elves more than anything, okay, well, hopefully they have something in their backstory about that. It's not just racism for fun, because That's never okay. But if they have some reason in their backstory, start to challenge them in the campaign. Come up with things that disagree with or go against their perceived ideology that causes them to grow and change in it. This is something that is so incredibly clear in Avatar: The Last Airbender with Zuko's entire redemption arc. He goes from hating the other people of the world and thinking they're beneath him to eventually being part of the undergrowth and being around these people that are abused by the Fire Nation, seeing that they're just people and they're good people. The episode of Zuko alone is great at showing this without telling it. Right? Show versus tell is a huge thing in storytelling, and that's exactly what it does. It shows that Zuko can care, and it shows that he cares about these people that he used to think were lesser than him. And that's great, because you are forcing a player to change by introducing them to a concept that was alien to them moments prior. That's such a powerful storytelling device. So using that can be such a good idea in your future campaigns, right? Challenge players. And when players challenge your NPCs, don't write it off. Don't just automatically deny, because it could open up some really, really cool flexibility in storytelling. Oh, look at that. It's all connected. Woo! Number 6, an effective use of comedy. Comedy should serve to enrich character development and enrich the story. It shouldn't detract from serious moments. There are moments you need to pick and choose as a DM. Which ones are you going to double down are serious moments, and which ones are you okay with being a little silly? Because D&D players left to their own devices, it's going to get a little silly, okay? It's just is. It's the truth. It's the truth. What can you do? It's truth. You know, it gets little silly, okay? Little silly. If you've ever watched the animated series, this is something that it does so well. Every episode is probably 5 minutes of serious, 5 minutes of comedy, 10 minutes of neutral, right? Because they're all about 20 to 25 minutes. Some episodes teeter more, other episodes teeter the other way. Yeah, that makes sense. In any session you have, you want to make sure there is a balance. For example, the most iconic comedic episode of Avatar: The Last Airbender is the Ember Island Players. It's one of the funniest episodes because it's a retrospective on the series. It's a parody of the story they've been on, but there are still these gripping, real character moments, these anxieties and fears that they express, framed out by comedy. It's fantastic. So in your campaigns, as a DM, pick and choose those moments that you want it to be really serious. Do not try and make the entire 4 hours, every single session, right, drama, okay? You want to make sure that there is a balance to your game. Because then not only will your players feel like the serious moments pay off more, but they're also going to have a fun time because they get to make jokes. They get to be silly. But then it makes those serious moments all the more sweet because they were just laughing. They were just having a good time. And now drama is at their doorstep and they have to address it. They have to do something about it. It makes those moments better because the comedy is there. It shouldn't undercut it at all. The two should exist in separate spaces. That's how you succeed and use comedy effectively in your games. Number 7, integrating new characters. Something Avatar: The Last Airbender does so fantastically is the introduction of Toph Beifong. She is a fantastic character, and her introduction into the TV show is done so seamlessly. Because instead of her being something that's just introduced right off the bat, no foreshadowing and all, like, boom, hey, here we go, another party member to join. No. It isn't that simple. A few episodes before, Aang receives a vision that he has to learn how to earthbend from somebody who can wait and listen, from Boomy. And then even before that, he sees a vision of a girl with a flying boar in the swamp. All of these things are foreshadowing Toph's eventual reveal. So my tip to you in regards to that point in particular is whenever you have somebody join a campaign, you might be tempted to do it right that session, right? Oh, my goodness, my friend just asked today, hey, can I join your D&D campaign? And I was just so excited. I said yes. Boom, we slapped him in there. That can work. But if you want it to have a real narrative impact and flow and feel, wait just a couple weeks. Do some small bits of foreshadowing. Build up their character, because then when they join, They're not just some random hobo off the street. They're a big deal. They're something that has been foreshadowed to the party the previous couple of sessions. And on that same note, the reason why Toph works so well is because she's needed by the party, by the gang, in order to succeed at their mission. Your player characters, your new ones that you introduce to the campaign, should be the exact same way. You want to make sure that when you introduce a player character, they are needed in the story. Whatever happened to the players in session 1, something equally as bad, equally as connected, happened to the player that is about to join the campaign right now. They're seeking out the party because they found something. They have valuable information that they need to give to the party. Number 8, world building simplified. In the world of Avatar: The Last Airbender, there are 4 nations: fire, earth, air, water. It's as simple as that. Sure, you have some people like Guru Patik and other individuals who just kind of float and coast, but the world is so simple. There are 4 nations. One nation is the bad guy, one nation is dead, one nation is underpowered, and the other one is the only one that can challenge the dominant force. That's super simple. It makes it really easy for viewers to enter and understand what's going on. I know a lot of us in our D&D campaigns, we want it to feel like Game of Thrones. We want it to feel like this complex political web. But George R.R. Martin himself said from the beginning he didn't know all that. A Game of Thrones or a Song of Fire and Ice started because he had this idea of a group of medieval people finding a collection of direwolf pups. That's how the world started. The world started simple. People finding lost animals. People finding a portion of the world that has died. Okay? In Avatar: The Last Airbender, it is done so well. But here's the thing. As the story goes on, the world gets more complex. It grows to be more in depth. The spirit world becomes a thing, and it grows even more in depth after that. More layers get added on more layers, right? Not everybody in the Earth Kingdom is good. Not everybody in the Water Tribes. They're not all underpowered, right? Because the Northern Water Tribe is so strong. And not everybody in the Fire Nation is evil. The layers continue to be added the longer the story goes on. In your campaign, do that. Most people have a hard time starting a campaign because they don't know where to start. They think they need 7 kingdoms, hundreds of houses, thousands of NPCs. No! Stop! You don't need that. What you need is 1 town, 1 place, 4 or 5 NPCs, and an inciting incident. That's all you need. Where does the story go wrong? What happens that causes the players to leave? The inciting incident. Hey, there it is. Way back from the beginning. Whoa, look at it. Oh my goodness, it's all the way back there. That's crazy. I didn't think we'd say that again. Well, we did because we're here, okay? And in a simple world, in order to start, that's all you need. You need your inciting incident. You need the world. So simply, 1 town, 5 NPCs. And from that point, you can begin to layer. You can begin to grow and make it something more. Avatar: The Last Airbender is a great example. You need your inciting incident and a very basic premise. And then one day, the Fire Nation attacked. 1 sentence. You can start running a campaign. Number 9, value your gosh darn martial classes. There is an episode of Avatar: The Last Airbender that has inspired me through and through in the creation of my own characters and in my DMing when I interact with martial classes. Sokka and Sokka's Master. Okay, that's the episode. Sokka's Master is such a good episode of Avatar: The Last Airbender, just on its own, by the way. In almost every single episode, Sokka is made out to be a joke in some way, shape, or form. Sometimes he proves himself and he's able to do cool things with his martial abilities. But Sokka's a fighter. He's not a bender, he is a fighter. Think about all the times that you've had a fighter at the table that has said this. Yeah, I don't really know how to contribute here. The only spell I can cast is swing. In your campaigns, you need to do things like Sokka's Master. You need to make moments for your martial classes where they feel like they are the coolest person and that their simple, mundane items make all the difference in the world. Think about how often Sokka's boomerang is used in a really effective and really important way. That's what you gotta do, okay? Because most DMs let a lot of the heavy lifting be done by the spellcasters for big things. And when the martial players come with an idea, oh, it's just a little too much. No, I'm uncomfortable. I don't want to break the rules. Shut up, stop, I don't care. Break the rules so the martial class can feel like they're doing something useful. Just do something cool for them, okay? Okay, let them have their meteorite sword. Let them have the boots of jumping, and let them jump on top of a dragon and stab it a whole bunch. Number 10, we've arrived at the ending. The role of foils and sages. Now, if you did not know about an inciting incident, this might also be news to you because this is something you probably maybe also missed in English 9. As a former English 9 teacher, please pay attention in class. Sages are individuals that help our characters grow, help them become more wise, right? They give them advice. They help them along their path. Characters like Iroh helps Zuko, and characters like Avatar Roku help Aang. The character that helps dispense wisdom to our protagonist to help them grow and get better at whatever they need to do by the end of the story, okay? Sages are very important because these are the wise wizards that your players are going to go to and learn new things about. What you should steal from Avatar: The Last Airbender is how these sages aren't infallible. They've made mistakes. Roku has made mistakes. Iroh has made plenty of mistakes, but they learned from them. They grew wise because of the mistakes they made. They weren't perfect their entire lives, okay? Because then you just have an NPC that seems too good to be true, and then the party will be suspicious of them, and then that's like a whole thing. So just avoid that, okay? Give them flaws, give them things that they did wrong, but let them have the power to learn from it. Foils are also important because characters like Toph and Zuko, they serve as foils to Aang. A foil is a character that works in opposition to, or is an opposite of, to help encourage growth, right? Toph, it said in the show, air and earth are two opposite ends of the spectrum. Toph shows Aang that he needs to plant his feet, and he needs to face things coming at him. He can't keep running and jumping. He needs to face it head on. And Zuko is this other side of him, right? The Fire Lord and the Avatar is such a winding path throughout the entire story. They're always intertwined. Zuko's anger and viciousness is something that shows Aang that even people like Zuko can change. They can get better regardless of the path that they were on initially. And Zuko and Aang foil each other so well and help each other grow. Same as Zuko helps Aang, Aang helps Zuko. It's something so incredibly important that you need to do when you are helping your player characters create characters. If somebody comes to you, they have an idea fully fleshed out, they're ready to go, start to give advice to other player characters on personality traits they might take on to encourage growth from other player characters. Your session 0 and the weeks leading up to session 1 are so important in creating a really strong party dynamic. So make sure that your characters don't just get along or have the ability to get along, but that they also have things that they disagree on to encourage growth. Going all the way back up to our other point about character growth. It comes from disagreement. Well, how do you get disagreement? By having people with different opinions in the party. Foils. And that is not where we're going to end the video because boom, surprise, bonus round. Failing forward, number 11. This is something I said very passively in one of my previous videos, secondary objectives, which if you haven't seen it, go check it out. Failing forward is the concept that failure isn't the end, but it's a pivotal moment in the narrative journey, okay? Take, for example, the episode of Avatar: The Last Airbender called The Day of Black Sun, or the 2 or 3 episodes connected to it. It's this pivotal moment in the story where they think they're gonna get the Fire Lord before Sozin's Comet. They're going to beat him before when they need to, which is good. That's what we want. But the plan fails. All of these allies they've gathered over time, all of these people that have grown to trust the Avatar and showed up on that day to stick it to the Fire Lord, a lot of them get captured. The plan fails. But the story didn't end. No, it didn't. The story continued in a much more interesting and exciting way. Failure can be heartbreaking to players. It really can. And I understand why. D&D is a game. And whenever we lose at a game, it doesn't feel good. we need to change how we approach that moment from a psychological standpoint. Because just because you lost a fight, it doesn't mean you didn't win the game. At the end of the day, you're trying to tell a story. You're trying to embark on a narrative. And some of the most real moments in a story happen when the players are so close to victory, but they just can't get it. Where they have to go and retreat. They have to live to fight another day. Because think about it. Think about what that does to the story. In the Avatar: The Last Airbender, in the animated series, the live action one obviously isn't there yet, but in the animated series, it gives them something to fight for. And it lets them go on a really cool prison break later on in the season. It is an area where the narrative diverges and changes, where what they thought was going to happen is pulled out from underneath them, and the story changes. And this goes all the way back up to our flexible storytelling. When the party fails, don't just TPK, don't just say, oh, there goes the campaign, let's end it. No, as a DM, try and on the fly do everything in your power to think of a way that the party can make it out, live to fight another day, and come back victorious after some time. With that, we finally reached the end of the video. No 12th point hidden away. This is it. Thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed. If you liked, don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to comment down below if you have a specific moment in Avatar: The Last Airbender that has inspired you and your campaigns. Like I said, we have YouTube membership now, so if you want to become a member of the channel, that would be awesome. Be sure to check out our other advice videos that are currently on the screen right now. Thanks for watching, and we will see you next time.